Hello everyone and welcome to WCI Consulting's webinar series. This week we are using dashboards as our topic. What specifically makes a good dashboard? Here at WCI Consulting, we know that dashboards are always a popular subject. A lot of people use them, a lot of people design them, a lot of people would like them, and we are going to try to give some insight into how to best utilize your dashboard and what we'll give some examples of bad dashboards, we'll give some examples of good dashboards, and we'll give some that are in between. If you have any questions throughout the webinar, please feel free to use that question box on the right-hand side in your GoToMeeting panel. Any questions we get throughout the webinar, we'll try to address as we are talking. If we do not, we'll try to address them at the end. If they are kind of system-specific or a little complicated, we may take them offline. We'll give you our email address at the end of the webinar. Today's presenter is Steve Hippold. He is a solutions manager here, and he has been with WCI for a number of years. WCI Consulting was started in 1998, so we've been around for a while, probably before people were calling what we do business intelligence. We primarily work with the business objects system, but we also have a lot of other areas of expertise in the business intelligence arena. One of them is our new Instant Access program that provides online support via the internet for subscribers. If you have any questions about that, please visit our website or in our follow-up calls, or shoot me an email later on and I can explain the system a little bit more to you. It's an exciting new product we have to offer, and we think a lot of our clients will be interested. I have up right now our WCI Consulting mission statement. We think that it's important for you to know where we're coming from as a business, and we are always going to be in partnership with our clients. We're looking for long-term solutions. We never are looking for the quick turnaround. We know that this is important to your business, and therefore it's important to our business. With that being said, I'm going to turn it over to our presenter today, Steve Hippold.
Thanks, Trent. So like Trent said, I'm going to show you guys today a little bit of focused on dashboards today and what is good practice, good methodology in setting up and presenting dashboards. Again, my name is Steve Hippold. I'm a solution manager at WCI Consulting, as Trent mentioned. So we will get right into the presentation. We won't spend too much time on the slides today. We're going to jump into today. We're going to be demoing the Business Objects Excelsius tool. So we'll give you an idea of how to best set that up and not only retrieve your data from your data sources, but also the best method in presenting those types of dashboards. So Trent kind of went over a little bit of who WCI is. You can see here just a couple of quick snippets about our organization. We've been in the business intelligence industry for quite a while. Have several Fortune 500 as well as much smaller medium business customers that we work with, anywhere from setting up data warehousing all the way through to the presentation layer of reports and dashboards. So getting into the presentation today, this slide just kind of depicts of the way some organizations work as far as data is concerned. It can kind of be all over the place. You can have data from multiple departments within your organization that are reporting maybe the same figures in a different method or calculating values in a different method. So what we try to do from a data consolidation and from a reporting standpoint is consolidate all that data, make it common across the board to your entire organization, and make it meaningful to the people who are accessing it. So just to start off, what makes up a bad dashboard, which really is across the board associated with IT projects? You put in a lot of effort that's not necessarily utilized by anyone in the organization. So a lot of times a dashboarding project will start off with good intentions, obviously, but it may go down a path that's not necessarily what's important to the end users or important to the organization as a whole. So although it may be a nice-looking dashboard with information that may not be exactly what the business is looking for. So what we've got here is a result that's not used, that's put in a lot of effort and provides no return on the initial investment. We've listed out a couple of reasons here why dashboards, what we've seen of why dashboards typically fail. Starting off with the lack of sponsorship. This is always obviously very important from the top of the organization to be committed to putting this together and to understand the importance of being able to present this information in a way that is easily accessible and that makes sense to everyone in the organization. So the communication between stakeholder groups is another reason we've seen dashboards not be successful. When you have the IT group putting the technology together behind the dashboard and the users communicating what it is that they want to see, a lot of times that link is broken, and it's important to have an analyst there or someone who can communicate with the business to understand exactly what the requirements are, so that the requirements for the dashboard from a technical standpoint can be put together and that would make sense and would be beneficial to the end users. And then a lot of times there's not a set schedule around the dashboard. So when we're putting this together, it really needs to be broken up into just like any project. There needs to be deliverables starting from the very beginning of where the data is going to be accessed from, all the way through to how the dashboard is going to be delivered to the end users. Again, the requirements not matching up with what the users are expecting. One of the most important things we see is the data sets, or the integration of pulling the data into your dashboard. This is always a challenge, or has been a challenge in the past, of getting that data in a presentable method in a dashboard type presentation layer, because a lot of times dashboards are they start off with good intentions, like I said earlier, but they may evolve and add more information being added to the dashboard, which a lot of times less is more when it comes to presenting this type of information, because you want to show things at a high level. You want to aggregate your information. You don't want to get too detailed as far as presenting too much on the screen that makes it too busy, and keeping it scaled down at a high level, and then giving your users the ability to drill into the more detailed information in the form of another type of report, because the dashboard is really intended to be just a quick one-screen view of where things currently stand. And then the last one there is the security and the privacy issues with data sharing. So a lot of our clients today may have a consolidated warehouse that has information across the board for their organization, but not everyone within the organization needs to see all of the information. So another part of planning out the dashboard and setting up the deliverables needs to include this security component, because a lot of times this is left off and is not really identified until the end of the project, and there may be some scrambling that has to go on to set it up so that users can only see the information that they're expected to see. So a couple of things here that we've listed out of how to avoid a bad dashboard. Again, executive sponsorship is always an important key factor. Branding your efforts. So again, dashboards should be looked at as projects. They take some time to develop. It takes a lot of thought as far as what needs to be displayed, how you want to present it. All of that really needs to be identified. And branding your effort really can gain you some momentum and gain some excitement within the user community to want to see this and to want to be involved with the rollout, and to not end up in a position where something's being created that is not necessarily used. And then we've got the common KPI definition here. So this is really making sure that different groups or different departments are calculating your KPIs in the same manner. So there are times where we've seen someone may calculate net profit one way, whereas it's calculated differently in another group. When you come to a meeting, you've got two different figures, and you spend time trying to figure out why that's the case. So setting up your KPIs across the board so that everyone understands where these values are coming from and how they're calculated is a very successful component for a dashboard. Again, being able to access the data. In the past, it has been an issue, but with the technology we'll look at today, it's become much easier to pull your information in, regardless of the source that it exists in. And then again, the link between the business and the IT group really needs to be sustained so that there's good communication there and there's a good understanding of what needs to be developed and what the business is looking for from the technology. The software to represent the dashboard is another important factor. There are quite a few tools out there. Today, like I said, we're going to be looking at the Business Objects Dashboard Design Tool. And then the last one is determining the recipient audience as well as the distribution method of the dashboard. So knowing the audience obviously is going to be a key factor to make sure the presentation that's being provided is something that's useful to the audience. And then from a distribution standpoint, it needs to be identified how do you want your users to gain access to this, whether it be through a portal that they can access or whether it's something that's emailed out on a regular basis. It's important to understand how that should be set up, prior to getting started with your development. And then just continuing here, that not letting the technology drive the results. So really you want to take a step back in the very beginning and identify exactly what are the key areas, what are the important numbers or the important figures, KPIs to present, and what's going to be the most useful. Again, narrowing that down to a smaller scope is going to provide or allow you to make your dashboard more successful versus trying to fit in several different factors from different components of the business. And then a process to document and redefine your KPIs. Again, understanding how these values are calculated is always going to be an important factor, and making sure that they're being calculated in the same manner across the board. Sticking to the goal obviously is very important. And then making use of releases. One of the things we've seen is that dashboards continually evolve throughout, over the course of time. So your requirements may be set in stone. You start going down that path, but it's good to break that up into small components. Release a small portion of the dashboard. Make sure that that's exactly what is being expected, because a lot of times the requirements may be provided, but then they're not necessarily, providing the actual results that the users wanted to see. So releasing your dashboard out to your business users on, multiple releases helps you stay on track with the business and keeping them in line with what's being done from a technology standpoint. And then again, having a schedule, having an end date to take to the business is obviously going to be something that needs to be provided. And then my last one here is just keeping it simple. Again, dashboards are meant to be a high-level view, a one-screen view of a certain area or certain KPIs that need to be provided to the user. So trying to get too complex and adding too many different gauges and dials and graphs, it's not going to be successful. So from what we've seen, the smaller dashboards are really more successful than trying to add on, again, like I said, multiple components of the business into one screen. And then when you're finished, the adoption process is always going to be very important, of rolling out this to the users, making sure they're involved, making sure they understand how the security is set up and what it is that they're able to see, as well as the distribution groups, who this should be rolled out to, and then allowing for modifications. Like I said, we've seen that several times there's changes to existing dashboards or updates that need to be made. So this needs to be accounted for and part of the project timeline. And then promoting the results, doing road shows or executive forums, presenting this not only at the very end, but it's also important to do this throughout the process to show, again, what road you're headed down, what it's going to look like, get some feedback to incorporate into the dashboard, that type of thing. And then being able to handle new requests for additional dashboards, because based on the fact that you are trying to keep things simple and not too busy or too overly complex, there's probably going to be additional requests for more information in additional dashboards. So this slide here kind of represents the business intelligence pyramid. Really what we're looking at today is the top piece here related to dashboards. But this is really how, from a high-level view, how we see business intelligence fitting into most organizations. Down at the bottom is the data integration or the consolidation of the information into a single source, cleansing the data, getting it prepared for the presentation layer. And then right above that are the operational or the standard reports, being something in the form of like a crystal report or something that's, provides quite a bit of detail. And then one step above that is the ad hoc queries, where you can use a common metadata layer to access information from your consolidated information. And then again, at the top, what we're looking at today is the high-level view, the aggregated view of the information at the dashboard level. Again, this is a way of how you get your data set up to be presented at the dashboard level. So on the left here, we're basically just representing several different source systems that are consolidated via an ETL tool or an extract, transform, and load tool into a single source, into a single database, and then putting a semantic layer or a metadata layer on top of that so that you can define your common KPIs and you can ensure that everyone in the organization is utilizing the same calculations or the same business objects that are required from your reporting standpoint. And then the portal gives you the ability to access this information, whether it be the standard reports, the ad hoc reports, or the dashboards that we're talking about today. Okay, so let me show you a sample dashboard here. This is just a very straightforward dashboard that we put together to kind of show you some functionality of the Business Objects Dashboard Design Tool, how it can be interacted with. We're looking right now at the client tool of Excelsius. You have the ability to, we've got this set up to where you can switch between different types of graphs. So we have chart, line graphs, and a pie graph we can switch between. This is really showing production of widgets by month, essentially. So we have the ability to come in and select our different widgets to identify the production over the past 12 months of 2011. And you can see how our figures adjust based on those, based on the item that we've selected. And then we've also shown a max value and an average value for that, as well as an interactive component that allows you to see how the figures would change based on additional projections of those items. And then the other item that's incorporated in here is a URL button. So this is a link that the dashboard can provide to you to allow you to go out to, whether it be an internet site or a drill down component to get to additional information or additional detailed information from your dashboard. So this can be set up to where if you wanted to see, well, for March of 2011, I was expecting this to be much higher, so I can select this and drill into it to get an idea of what's happening with that particular product. So just to give you a little detail around the tool itself, as we mentioned earlier, one of the most important things is connecting to your data. So with the SAP Dashboard Design Tool, you've got several methods of how you can connect to your data, whether it be through a static spreadsheet that you can import, as we've done here for this sample dashboard. You can also use a web service tool to access your information, or you can use a business objects live office document. So a live office document can be created within business objects via the web intelligence tool, which can then be accessed from the dashboard component. And that can be refreshed, data pulled in on demand using that live office tool. And then with the addition of the 4.0 release, you have the ability to add a query directly from the semantic layer that's created, or what Business Objects refers to as the universe. You can add a query directly here to pull your information in. Now, some of the good methodology, or some of the methodology that we utilize to create dashboards for our clients, one of the things that into a format that's presentable is one of the most important aspects. So since this tool is based on Microsoft Excel, typically what we will do is bring the data into one sheet of the Excel spreadsheet and just have our raw data. And then from another tab, we'll reference the raw data that will be linked to the individual components within the dashboard. So you'll see here that for January of 2011, widget A is calculated as this value of 8739, but we need to provide some sort of a calculation on this data based on our projection value, because we had the interaction with the projection. So we're basically adding data from our data tab to what the user has selected from the slider tool that we looked at earlier to do our calculation, and then that's what actually gets presented in the dashboard. So one of the other items that we've found is very useful when putting these dashboards together is organizing your information on the dashboard itself. So as you can see, we've got several different components within this dashboard. We've got several graphs. We've got 2 different gauges here. So within our object browser, within the dashboard design tool, we can group this information so that it's easily accessible. A lot of times you'll have quite a few components listed here, and providing them with the name and grouping them together into a common component really allows you to access your information and to make updates to your dashboard easily. Because as I go through and select, for example, from our gauges, if I select our average gauge, it's going to display the properties, excuse me, the properties of that gauge on the right over here, and allow me to make changes to it rather easily. And then the last component I wanted to show you was the URL button that we had here. As I showed you, that can be a link to another website. It can be a link to another application that you've created. It can be a link to another detailed report, and that can be dynamic. If I navigate to our link here, you'll see that that's referencing an actual value from the Excel spreadsheet. So that can be something that's customized to pull back the appropriate information or to pull up the appropriate information that you want to link to. And then once you're done, you have the ability to export this information to several different formats. So we can put this to a flash file, which can be displayed through, again, a portal or through the InfoView portal for business objects. We can plug this into a PowerPoint slide, a Word document. We can even put it into an email via Microsoft Outlook. Or you can save it directly to your business objects platform for your users to access from a specific folder that exists on the platform. So Trent, that's basically what I wanted to show you guys today. I'm not sure if we have any questions or not.
If you have any questions, please enter it into the side panel now. We will, anything that is, you know, a little bit overcomplicated or maybe needed to take offline, we can go ahead and do that later on. And here are our email addresses if anyone wants to ask any offline questions about dashboards, about business intelligence, business objects, WCI consulting. our new instant access program, which allows people to get information on demand from one of our consultants. Right now, I see a couple of questions coming in here, and let me. Yes, one of the questions here, Steve, is probably not applicable to you. There will be a copy. Yes, we will be following up with people, and when we do, just go ahead and ask for a copy, and we can send that over, no problem. And, oh, I have another one here, Steve. What was the most popular dashboard developing tool?
We work with quite a few of the dashboarding tools. The one that we've been working with for the past few years has been the Business Objects Excelsius tool, which is now referred to as the dashboard design tool. It's been, the most popular for several reasons. It's included in a package that comes with several different types of reporting tools, but that's what we've seen the most of, which is why we've chosen that as the demo for today's presentation.
Okay, I appreciate it, Steve, and thank everyone for their time. It is 11 o'clock, so we value your time, so we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. If you have any questions, please send them offline to either one of our email addresses, and we can get back to you as soon as possible. Thank you, everyone, and have a great